Hi there, and a good Friday to you if such is your persuasion. I'm out here in an olive grove behind an electric pylon which just began making some strange noises, but I hope they don't get caught up in the microphone, and I also hope you can hear me out there. I did a video last week where I talked about the lower self, so I thought it would be interesting to do a channeling about the higher self. I went to the Alhambra the other day, and if you don't know what it's famous for, is the Nasrid Palace, which is the splendid Arabic palace from the early 1300s, which has some of the most compelling arabesques in the whole world. So the succeeding rooms are arranged with geometric patterns of infinite variation and infinite complexity, and it's just so very compelling to be around, and it's also very fascinating how it sort of molds you open to have this opening experience to something that reaches out beyond yourself, which is of course also very much how Islamic calligraphy and ornamentation works, but it's a very beautiful experience, and I really felt that through this geometric vision, it sort of brought out that sense of the higher self. So I thought it would be interesting to get our man Umblam to comment on it. So let's see what he has to say. Yes, hello out there, sweet ones. It is I again, Umblam of the Arcturian Council, coming straight to you from the ninth dimension to talk a little about what the higher self actually is. See, of course, you can make segments out of everything. You can divide the world into different things, and of course, the higher self is essentially you, and you are essentially the higher self. It choosing to manifest the visible part of itself into the visible universe by being you and choosing to be you and choosing to have these experiences. But of course, you also have the experience of being connected to something that lies beyond the visual field, that lies beyond the visual world, that lies beyond what is immediate to your apprehension and your senses. And this you could denote as your higher self, that part of you which is inherently, specifically you, but is still connected to the all-knowing wisdom of everything. It's also the fifth dimensional you, the you that you are becoming, and it has emanations all the way into the core of Source, which is, in a sense, also the core of you. You have heard these things many times from many different sources, but it's worth reiterating because it's hard for you to forget in this patterning of time, this thing you call synchronicity, where you experience a lot of vacuum, a lot of dense places of unknowing and confusion as you go about then surprising yourself with different solutions to your problems, different overcomings, different things that you can begin to perceive that will help you progress. That is the sense of the connection to the higher self. We made this connection quite a long time ago in our own history, and as you know, we then became very engaged, curious into the exploration of patterns that would help bring us back to this remembrance of our highermost beings. See, even after ascension has gone quite a long way, there is still a lot of things to overcome. There are still vibrations beyond the visible field or the field of conscious attention, which then calls us out. And so we began to build these healing chambers, we began to build these symphonies, we began to build these different contraptions of which you have heard and which you have heard described in many of my messages and many messages from our collective and from other star beings of my race or other related star beings who also lent these technologies from us. Therefore, you also know me as a composer of visible melodies. This idea that when you bring out tones into the colored field, the field of vision, you begin to build this clairsentient reality where you can immerse yourself in certain experiences that clear out the unwanted patterns and arrange for you in a pattern of your creation. See, you can very much consider the fact of choice, the thing that brings you forward into your realm of chosen significant experience as the instinct of the higher self calling you. And so it is the same with this arrangement of geometric patterns that this dear one was describing. It's the fact that human beings, as well as the Arcturians, as well as all sentient creatures who are able to manipulate and then choose their preferred realities, they are able to construct these type of experiential energy fields with their attention, and then they see them play out over time. They see them play out as patternings, and they see them play out as melodies who might also have dissonant qualities to them, but that helps them adjust to become a better composer. And notice that it's very much the conscious calling of your ability to compose that has been brought to the forefront in these latest years. So more and more humans have come to the stage of life where they are not necessarily struggling with their immediate survival. And once this stage is reached, something happens within the human where choice becomes not a matter of circumstance, but a matter of calling, a matter of discernment and feeling out what you are and what you want to be. And so this has, to a high degree, become exaggerated by the crisis that you have been experiencing. So when you isolate yourself from your circumstances, and when your circumstances radically change, and when everything is falling apart, you of course are faced with great fears and senses of separation, but you are also confronted with the fact that your calling is of your own choosing, that there is something indefinite in being that you bring definition to, and that's exactly that thing you may describe as a reality tunnel, vibrational vortex, or the framework of your higher self. It's that patterning which already exists, and therefore it's far easier for you to feel it out than to invent it, because there are contrast experiences, but these contrast experiences always hold, even to the difference of only 49.9 to 50.1%, there is always a preferred reality that holds more light and positivity for you than the other one. And that is what you need to discern in order to connect to the higher self. Because the higher self is, in a sense, everything you perceive, but it is in another sense only the ordered perception, only the thing that resonates within different layers of the geometric pattern of you, within different fractals, within different levels of this certain vibration, geometric configuration, melody, composition that is uniquely you and that makes you hold up a significant space that is differentiated from everything else. It is in this pattern that what is you, what is high, what is beautiful, and what is ultimately the joy of revelation and discovery, where this hides. And you know this feeling very well. You do sense that when you are squandering your energy or your attention, when it becomes dissipated, then you also feel the calling to things that are, as this dear one described in a talk quite hollow in character, That is, they feed off your energy, but you perceive them as being something that gives you energy. But this energy is a type of distraction. It's the type of energetic current that's a siphoning off instead of the type of energetic current that is a budding and then a flowering of the wellspring of truth and wisdom that lies within you. That is the place that you find it joyous to be. That is the place where it is happy for you to exist. And you know this very well because as soon as you are engaged in something that is challenging to you, but that has been called forward from an inner impulse and inner motivation, you do find that this call out responses that forward you in your process. And sometimes it only brings up more darkness to look at, and sometimes it actually opens a vault that then lets out all the dark energy, all the things you've been clutching onto, into a seemingly negative experience to liberate you from something. Because the more liberated you become, that is to say, the more encumbered you become by all the obstructions that aren't really you, the more you feel into this sense of geometric beauty that is your innermost core. And notice that humans, at least for the most part, are quite geometrically ordered. They revolve around a central axis, and they have two different sides that coincide into a whole that's perceived as very beautiful and very compelling by the members of its species, and of course also by we seed races that helped to create it. We were so happy to build this human body of harmony, and we have been so happy to install all those valves, temporary locks that you would then be able to uncover in your body. The human body is built to conduct a far higher degree of energy than most of you perceive, and it is also built to harmonize itself and run on different influxes of energy from its environment that are more conducive for it being brought into resonance with the higher field realities of the higher self where you inhabit that place which you are inhabiting now as the infinite being that you are observing and having this experience. That is to say, in a way, the arcade of infinite beauty where your eternal self sits playing a game of being your finite self. These are, of course, all ways to approach it, but you know it well when you recognize it. And the more you go into that recognition of, aha, here's something that's perhaps me, here's something that I didn't notice because it was so present in all of my experience that I just thought it a natural part of the world, but it is exactly that part of you which constitutes a base impulse of your higher self, a base frequency in which it expresses itself into time-space and chooses to have an experience. Therefore, the calling is yours, and the calling you can look at and see beauty, hear and hear harmony, taste and taste sweetness, feel and feel loved. You know it well, you know this love well. It is you, and it finds itself into the world, expresses itself and flowers through you. Therefore be blessed and know that you are led by this tune playing from the heavens to the melody of you. My love to you from me and the entire Arcturian Council, our blessings on this day.